where I decided I was never going to work for anybody ever again.
Awesome.
So that was kind of a powder keg moment for me. And then my buddy, my business partner in the tour business, his name is Jesse Heron. I met him at that job. So that was the good that came from it. And a couple years after I left that job, he and I reconnected. And when we reconnected, he had just been fired from his job. He had left the job that we shared together. And so we were both just kind of frustrated and decided we weren't going to work for people anymore. And we got together and decided we were going to get together and do business of our own. And then we decided we had to decide what that was going to be. And we came to realize our passion collectively and shared was Albuquerque. So we were going to try to build a business around Albuquerque. And
wow. So you didn't really have a lot of experience in that industry, did you?
well, I mean, my background was hospitality and tourism.
Okay.
His was the same. So we had some experience, but not directly related to trolley tours, but in the industry. And we knew a lot of the people in the industry. So once we decided we were going to do the business, we started asking questions of people that had been around for much longer than us, much more experienced than us. Okay. Knew the hospitality and tourism market here really well. And we got a lot of feedback. We asked a lot of questions. We got some pros and cons, and we kind of used a little bit of that kind of, research that we were able to do to help us build the business.
Okay. Well, that's a really awesome story. We're kind of in the age of the entrepreneur, right, Mike? What did you say?
Yeah.
And so going from what you were doing before to the trolleys, how does that work? Without getting too much into the nitty gritty, you need some investors, you need a lot of luck, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. We decided, we did the business the way, kind of from an academic perspective, what we went to school for. And so we built this big business plan, and it was, this super thick manual, probably 200 pages, and it had graphs and charts, and it was, just, what you would expect to come from a couple of college graduates. And my business partner actually had his master's from Anderson, so business school here at UNM. So we did it from a very academic perspective. And then we started going out and trying to find banks to loan us some money. This was in 2007 and 2008. And there wasn't a bank in Albuquerque that would lend us any money. Yeah. So we were kind of faced with a pretty large obstacle right out of the gate. I didn't have any money saved up, and he didn't have any money saved up. Mm-hmm. And so we were like, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to let the dream die, or are we going to try to find another way? So after getting rejected by just about every bank in town, we turned to our friends and family and basically said, hey, we have this idea. Here's the idea. We're asking you to believe in us, not necessarily to believe in the business, because, they didn't really know anything about it either, but just to believe in us. And so that's how the tourism business was built. It was built on family kind of supporting us and then allowing us to launch the business. That's how we built it. It was
so kind of like, in a way, it was not all, but I should say there was like a community aspect to it where, your friends and family kind of helped out with it, right?
We kind of crowdfunded it. We kind of,
crowdfunded,
What are those Kickstarted it before that was even a thing? We just did
before that was a thing. Yeah, we did that at the rail yards with the Kickstarter, and I'm glad that was 2014. I'm glad we had that, but boy, you guys really started from scratch in some ways, huh?
Yeah, for sure. And the beauty of it in retrospect was that where the banks didn't want to loan us any money, which was definitely a negative initially, it turned out to be a blessing because, anytime you're starting a new business, one of the biggest obstacles and one of the biggest burdens and the thing that hangs over you more than anything is that banknote that's due every month. If you borrowed money from a bank, you owe that note every single month, and they don't really care. They want to get paid. So luckily for us, the people that we owed money to, they weren't coming to repossess our houses. And, when we were struggling and couldn't make
your grandma wasn't coming to break your knees. Or...
Exactly, So
she was.
In that way, it was a bit of a blessing. It allowed the business to kind of grow and not have that fear and that stress of, hey, we got a banknote, we got to pay every 15th of the month, and we don't have any money, because first year of the business, we didn't have much money. So that was a bit of a blessing that came out of it, in fact.
Yeah, no, that not having that over your head really helps out. And obviously with this pandemic thing, I think there was some money out there, some loan money. I honestly don't know how that all went with the federal government money to the small businesses, and if folks did get money that to help them start businesses. Maybe you know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so now 2021, I guess, first day of 2021. I now have two businesses, so the tourism business and the cookie shop, and both of my businesses received the payroll protection program money. That's federal money. Both of my businesses have received money from Bernalillo County.
I said my town is the greatest.
And both of my businesses have received money from the city as well. The city is significant. So we've received grants and federal money. So, it's helped us quite a bit, honestly, to stay alive and to stay afloat in this incredibly difficult time to be in business for oneself. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's really tough. And I definitely feel for folks who are having, who have small businesses and, even medium-sized businesses. Everybody's struggling, to tell you the truth. And so just trying to pull together and support what we're doing. I know, switching over to, well, before we leave the trolley company, are you guys still doing stuff or not yet? Are you planning it soon?
Well, COVID shut us down. So the trolley season is April through December. November, we kind of closed down for a while, but October we're busy, and December we pick back up for holiday stuff. So January, February, March are our quiet months. So fast forward, rewind back to March of 2020, we were getting ready to start our season. We just had the trolley checked up for its, annual maintenance, and we were starting to meet with our staff and gearing up for our season. And then, as you recall, mid-March is when kind of the country shut down and they started, closing everything. And so we never even got out of the gate. The tourism business for 2020 never, ever got out of the gate. Now, the good news is, about 2 years ago, we purchased a small business from a very young entrepreneur, ABQ in a Box. Okay. And that's a business. It's the tourism business's product. It's our first product. And that's a business where you imagine things that come to mind when you think of Albuquerque. And we have a business that packages all those things together, and then we ship them all over the country, all over the world, actually. So if you have a grandma that lives in Phoenix and she used to live here and she's missing Albuquerque, then you can send her one of our ABQ in a boxes. And so that business picked up for the holiday season. And last year we sold 300 boxes for the holiday season. And this year we sold about 1,300. So It was phenomenal for us, where the tourism business, the trolley, the party bikes, the walking tours never got off the ground. We limped along, we saved our pennies, we barely made it. And then we got to the holiday season and the box did okay for us. So
do you see it on your screen there?
I do see it.
This is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's it. We had people ordering from all over the country. We sent some boxes to international as well this year. So it was significant for us. It helped to kind of give us a little bit of money to survive this incredibly difficult time. Yeah, no,
it's definitely been challenging. Yeah. And so with transitioning over to Rude Boy Cookies, I know you guys have been open when you can be open and not open when you can't be open, obviously. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the cookies, we also around March shut down like everybody else, and then we had to figure out what are we going to do, how are we going to keep this thing going. My business partner there is a gal named Kristen Dowling, and she's an exceptional baker. She's a rock star in the world of baking, and so we came up with this idea to do these take-home baking kits, take home and decorate cookie kits. Wow. Not groundbreaking. Cookie shops all over the country were doing these, but we started doing them and they were a huge hit for us. And so we actually had a good spring this year in spite of the pandemic. We partnered up with Explora and did an Explora cookie decorating kit, and it was very popular with a lot of our families, you know, because now they could buy a kit and take it home, and kids could decorate the cookies, and it's now a 2-hour activity. And the Explorer kit had an Explorer activity sheet, and so there was an even more interactive piece to it, and so that was successful for us. And we then ended up having a decent fall, and then maybe the best Christmas season we've ever had. So our supporters at the cookie shop have really rallied around us, man. They've been huge for us. So we decent year.
Yeah, no, that's really cool to hear. Really impressive, Mike. You've really done so much with that. I know Explorer's been on top of the game as well, because I'm a teacher during the day, and they've really been out there working with schools and all that. So kudos to them and kudos to you. This is my little Twitter live cam.
Yeah, no worries, man.
And here's my one Albuquerque. So this is you get one Albuquerque wave here for being such an awesome businessman. But now we're going to switch gears a little bit and going to get a little bit into the nitty gritty, as we used to say. And I want to talk about Burque against racism. So I'm going to go ahead and let everyone see this. Actually, what we're going to show first is that super cool video. And then, this is the Rude Boy cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't we watch this real quick? I really want to check this out, especially since we just set it up. And then we'll go to the Burque against racism.
Yeah, we recorded this as a way to drive some business.
I got the fever for the flavor of these good cookies. Let me tell you where I got them, Rudy's. Obviously, the style is new. The cookies are boss ice cream sandwich, please, with that chocolate sauce. Skaboobie, my friend. Let's go. Come on in. Go scoop it. Yeah, we got it. Milk your cookies. Ice cream sandwich.
That was too cool. I did not expect that, Mike. I didn't have a chance to look at this asset before. And I know you, I know you from different areas, but I do also know you from the music scene, and I know how much you love the reggae scene and all that. So that was super exciting. We got to book you, when we open up again. I got to get Colleen with the Body Plus of Music to call you.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm still trying to do one of the beauties out of this time home and not really at work as much as I would normally be is I've actually been able to do a lot more music this year than I've done in probably the last 5 years. So I've been playing a lot more music. I've been writing a little bit more and recording and just kind of getting a little bit more back to my roots musically.
That's super awesome. We're gonna have to have you back on here. I didn't know you had the music in you.
Oh yeah, bro.
I have to have you back on. But now we're gonna turn to Burque against racism and tell us a little bit about this, Mike.
Yeah, so this, again, where the tourism business is myself and my buddy Jesse Heron, the cookie shop is myself and Kristen Dowling. This Burque Against Racism was started by myself and Charles Ashley III, and we basically sprung to action after the George Floyd murder. We're part of a Black men's professional group. Myself and Charles and 4 other guys started the group back in 2016, and then we've grown the group over the last 4 years and have done our fair share of kind of community work around lifting up Black lives in Albuquerque. And then when the George Floyd murder happened, Charles and I just felt motivated and compelled to step out and do more. So we started doing some community events. We had an 8-minute and 46-second moment of silence at Civic Plaza, which was attended by over 200 people. 8 minutes and 46 seconds representative of the time that the officer had his knee on George Floyd's neck.
Wow, yeah. Okay.
And that was a pretty powerful moment. And that was the beginning of what became a pretty engaged and interactive next, say, 4 to 6 weeks. We had several public events. We then moved to online with the pandemic kind of worsening and spiking. And then we ended up, being able to create an official organization with support from the Albuquerque Community Foundation as our fiscal sponsor, and donors coming together for us to build a website and create marketing assets and logos.
Okay.
And all that just allows us to spread the word about what we're doing, which is we approach this social justice work from the lens of entrepreneurs. Our goal is to lift up people through with an economic lens. How do we help people get significant careers, not just jobs, but how do we impact the community that way? How do we challenge the deal makers, the community leaders, the CEOs to actually diversify their offices, diversify their CEO suite level positions? So that's a little bit of the work we're doing with Burque Against Racism.
That's super awesome. It's so great to hear. It's definitely grassroots, man. That's what you're really about. And so some folks can come up here, sign up for this newsletter, and get on your team.
Yeah. You can sign up there, and we try to keep people informed and engaged. We just did in the last month alone, we recognized the issue that people are facing around food insecurity and hunger, and we held a food drive. We raised close to $40,000. One Albuquerque Foundation was significant in that, and we had some significant community partners, and then just other folks donating money out of their own pockets. And we took that money and we purchased gift cards from area grocery stores, and we donated gift cards to principals from public schools in Albuquerque that had high proportion of Title I kids, and we got all those gift cards out to the principals. We just donated some money to another community organization that needed help buying gifts for their kids they serve for the holidays. So we're pretty active, and we definitely are. We're just getting started. We're going to be around. We're going to be continuing to do the work around what we believe is important, lifting up the Black lives in Albuquerque, which in turn lifts up the greater Albuquerque community, just makes us greater, makes us stronger. We're eager and motivated to help all people in Albuquerque, but specifically targeting, trying to lift up our Black brothers and sisters.
Right. No, I definitely hear that. And on that note, it looks like you have some civic partnerships as well with the city and all that.
Well, yeah, the One Albuquerque Foundation helped us with our food drive. We have a good relationship with the city, obviously. Myself and Charles are both sitting on boards, city boards, and so our relationships with the city are strong. But we try to utilize and challenge our friends in business. Charles and I both have created companies, so we have a lot of friends that are job creators and business creators, and we've challenged those type of folks to step up and show your face and be a part of the solution.
Mike, one thing that I've been emphasizing for what time is it, 6:30? For the past few hours we've been in 2021 is the need to be intentional.
Yeah.
The need to, I feel like we've been beating around the bush too long, and, taking one step forward, two steps back, because you kind of don't want to step on people's toes. But 2020 showed us that, I feel at least, that we need to be a little bit more intentional, a little bit, we need to think about things and think about what actions we need to take in order to solve problems, like at a real level, Mike. These problems that you're addressing here with racism, they're hundreds of years old, right? And they're ingrained in our system and our institutions. And you, by working with the city, are disentangling, is like the expression I like to use. So I really appreciate the work you're doing. I love your store. It's super awesome. It's Marisol's favorite cookie place. And so we go by there all the time. Yeah. And just to know that you're doing something really positive with a lot of the resources that you get from there and the trolley company, it's just been a pleasure of mine to know you. And I just wanted to bring you on here. So the rest of the city, the state, and, this is a podcast as well. So I hope, we were descriptive enough in what we were seeing. I just want folks to know and not just to celebrate you, but to say, hey, Mike just started a business from scratch. Nobody would lend him any money, and Mike helped to start an organization, Burque Against Racism. And I know you also work with teachers and APS and all that as well. So kudos to you, brother. Appreciate you for coming on.
Yeah.
And like I said, whenever you're ready to play,
Yeah.
I think there's a few bands in town that would love to have you.
No, man, I'm definitely looking forward to doing some more music. And I'll just close it by saying this, man. I'm not doing anything out of the ordinary. I'm just doing something, right? Too many people just sit on the sidelines and do nothing. So I'm just trying to challenge people to do something. Like, choose one thing. The city has this new platform. Choose one. Choose one thing and just do it. I mean, we all got to do something. The world is crying for our help. We gotta answer the call.
Yeah, no, choose one thing. I like that. I really like that. Well, Mike, with that, we'll see you soon. We'll talk again soon. And I really appreciate you bringing one of our first guests and hanging out in the lobby. I hope Hakim wasn't messing with you in the lobby there in the green room.
Nah, I didn't even see him, man. Tell him I said what's up.
He'll be on any minute now. Thanks a lot, Mike. Go ahead and say adios.
All right, brother.
I'll
Peace
see
out.
you soon.
All right, bro.
All right, everybody. That was Mike Silva there with Rude Boy Cookies. All of the information will be on our website, communitypublishing.org/SmartTalk. The next person I want to bring on is Audrey McNamara, who is an incredible artist, painter, sketching. She does so many different things. I can't even begin to describe what she does in terms of the magic that she creates with her mind. And so we're going to bring her on here and say hello. She's in the green room. Hopefully Hakim is not bothering her there. All right, here she comes through the magic of technology. Any second now. Hey, Audrey, how are you? What's going on? Welcome to SmartTalk.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah, this is the first episode. So as you can imagine, we're all over the place. So say hello to the Twitter folks. And this is our Twitter camera here. We're on live stream. I really appreciate you, Audrey, for being one of the most professional artists I've worked with. And you can turn stuff around. You can turn stuff around in a short amount of time. So I appreciate that. But Audrey, we're going to start. Do you have that book that we've all been waiting for a while? Let's take a look. There it is, The Mission. Hold it up a little bit higher. And, yeah. And so Audrey, this is your debut going from visual artist to author, and talk to us a little bit about the book, your experience writing it, the motivation, and yeah, let's start with that.
Well, I had this idea that that I would write it, and that I would draw it first, and that way, because I had all these many ideas. But the drawing was always still sort of a meditative place. So I had ideas about what I wanted to do. And I just kind of, I just kind of drew what I wanted to do in the day. So it was planned and not planned. And I kind of knew where it was to go. And I had a lot of influences, music and the arts and video. I should tell you that something is going wrong with the sound, and I can hear a loop.
So, it could be that you have you're on Facebook Live. There's a little bit of a delay, so you might want to mute that or get off of the Facebook live stream.
So then after I drew it all, then I put the words in, and it is of such consequence that I was in a dire condition and at the time and was on a lot of medication. So I didn't really remember what I wrote, but I knew just the gist of it. But I was reading it tonight. I was like, this is brilliant.
I like that, Audrey. I like that you feel it was brilliant. Right now, we're actually seeing some of the pages from the book, and you use these vivid colors. And when we edited it, what we did was we copied some of the colors that you used originally, and I think it makes for a cool looking graphic novel. The book is available at communitypublishing.org, the mission, and we're super excited about it. One thing I wanted to talk about as well, Audrey, is you are always an advocate for women in the arts, and is that something that was passed on to you, or just something that you picked up like during your life experiences?
No, I was not raised in an artistic family.
Okay.
It saved me. The arts saved me from myself, you know, in a very real way. Like,
yeah. Well, let's talk about how, you know, how you feel about you know, being in the arts as a woman. And I know you're an awesome mom with two lovely little girls. What's that experience been like?
Yes, I have something to say about that. Yeah.
Well, we're waiting. You were going to say?
Well, it's been interesting watching my peers get older. I'm from Denver, where they have a great, strong art scene, and everybody was very together about it too, watching them all get older. And I did notice that most of the women who stayed in the arts, the big difference was that they didn't have kids. And like, I really was more of like a constitution to say, well, I want arts and kids, and so
arts and kids. There you go.
So,
You just coined a new
it becomes
slogan,
a very
Audrey.
tight schedule. It's a lot of work, and there's very little fun time.
Yeah.
And I'm about to start school again too. I'm gonna have even less fun time.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and well,
exciting.
It's been cool because how many kids like have a mom who they seriously sees art all the time.
Right. Yep.
And I feel like that example is going to be worth more than any encouragement. Like, oh, you're so good, sweetie. Look how good you are. That they're just gonna see it around in their circle. We're kind of exhausted.
Yeah. Well, Audrey, listen, we're gonna go ahead and let people know you have this great Instagram page as well, and it's super awesome. And you do all these sketches. So if someone were to look for your stuff, they can find you here on this Instagram page, Audrey McNamara. And of course, the book is on communitypublishing.org. Audrey, we look forward to hearing some more about you, and hopefully we will see some more of your books and your endeavors into writing. And like you said, you're super excited. The story is a brilliant story, so we won't give anything away, but we will see you really soon. And of course, thank you so much for being on. Thank you for being a great artist and calling New Mexico. We're honored to have you here, and your daughters, of course, as well. And so let's stay in touch, and we're going to post all of your links and stuff onto this page. So have a nice rest of your night, Audrey, and we'll talk. Thank you so much for coming on. We'll talk to you really soon.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
All right, that was Audrey McNamara with, she's a local artist here now in New Mexico, and check out her book on communitypublishing.org. We are about to take a quick break, and then we're going to go ahead and talk to our guest star, Mr. Hakim Bellamy. We'll see you in a minute.
You're listening to SMARTalk, conversations with filmmakers regarding progressive solutions
All right, all right. So now we are so excited to have the one and only Mr. Hakim Bellamy. He's the Cultural Services Deputy Director for the City of Albuquerque. He's Albuquerque's inaugural Poet Laureate.
Thank you.
And he's also an MC, entertainer, a jokester. He's a multi-talented individual. And Hakim, welcome to smARTalk episode 1. How are you doing? Mr. Bellamy? I think he's there. I hope he's there. Let me send him a message in chat right here. Hakim, could you hear me?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, all right, there you are. I just gave you this big old introduction. How are you, sir? Looking dapper as usual.
Sorry for the delay there. I was looking at my phone looking for you.
That sounds like a previous relationship of mine.
Man, listen, we ain't got that kind of time, Alex.
How are you, brother? Thank you for coming on the show. You know, one thing I mentioned with Mike is I feel like 2021 is a year of intentionality. It's the year where we really put our mind to stuff, Mr. Bellamy, and whether it's a personal endeavor or helping out society and community, we put our mind to it. And so with that in mind, you are the gentleman who's been doing this for a long time. And so, talk to us a little bit about, how you got involved in the arts, poetry. Start from the beginning real quick.
From the beginning, man.
Well, not that far back.
Not that far back. I was born a poor young boy in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. No, to be honest, I feel like, most of my life, Alex, we're boys. We go back and we have a affinity for sports and athletics.
Yes, sir.
Most of my life, I was a jock. I was a soccer player in high school, a basketball player, ran track. I played baseball for a long time, so I gave it up to play more soccer, and eventually went to college to play soccer. And I feel like all of that prepared me for my ultimate career as a performance poet, a slam poet, because we call slam poetry the competitive art of performance poetry. But I think more than anything, it wasn't about winning and losing slams. That's not what athletics prepared me for. It prepared me for the discipline of being a writer. It prepared me for, like, when you really want to muscle to work, you work it a lot so that you hope it works on game day. And I've been blessed to be able to, transform my my lackluster athletic career into a more promising career as a writer. Not through any particular talent, just through hard work, man. Just through, like, continually going at the craft. And the craft is a funny thing. Like, if you go to the woodshed and chop enough, you might actually chop something good off, like that you can share with the world. And I've just been fortunate that by the time I found myself as an artist and came of age as an artist, I had already decided to move here. I was still I'd moved home after college and was living with my parents, and met my son's mother at the time, and we were just like, let's blow this joint, let's get out of here, let's get out of the East Coast, and we landed up, as they say, in Albuquerque. And at the time, I thought it was pure chance, and came to realize later that it was divine intervention that brought me here to a town that was ready for me and what I was ready to bring at that time. And then was continually gracious to let me continue to grow and try new things, right? I came here as a poet, and I've been allowed to make music here. I've been allowed to act here. I've been allowed to, like, do, like, a lot of things that I never dreamed I'd be doing, because I thought I was going to be a professional soccer player, and that didn't work out. Oh,
Hakim, so that, I'm glad you brought that up, because, or should I call you Director Bellamy, Deputy Director?
No, that's knock it off.
Okay, no, so I didn't know that your son was born in, Caleb was born over in Philly on the East Coast.
No, he was born at UNMH.
Oh, he was born here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But you were a poet. You started writing out in the East Coast.
Yeah, I did. I mean, when I left
Okay.
my undergrad, I did my undergrad at two schools, Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond, Virginia, and then finished my undergrad at Elise McCrae College in Banner Oak, North Carolina. And after that, I moved home. You know, I was under the delusion of most young people. After I racked up, you know, a whole bunch of debt, I was like, oh, I'm gonna get offered a job as soon as I walk off that stage. Not true. I continued to work. I continued to work in kitchens in Banner Oak, North Carolina, for 6 months after graduation, and then moved home to finally get a job in my degree field. But nice. it was then that I met my son's mother, and I worked in the drug industry there, the pharmaceutical industry. My bachelor's is in biology, so I'm actually a scientist. So wow. So I moved home and did that for about a year and a half before I said, you know, scientist doesn't really look good on me. I'm too much of a people person, less of a lab coat person. And I moved out here and got my master's in communications, which suits me much better, and got a job in the newsroom at KUNM. I was an NPR news guy for a bit and continued to do a lot of news, radio, TV, and print news. And that's kind of where I found myself as a writer.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's pretty interesting to know. And so I was going to say that, you know, in Virginia, you thought you were going to get a job as soon as you walked off stage, and you did get a job. They start cleaning the tables.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way it is.
That's how I worked my way through college, man. My mom, God bless her. She's Carlise Bellamy. Shout out to Mom Duke. She's quarantining in New Jersey these days. Okay. But she told me at a very young age, she was like, you're not going to have to depend on a woman to cook for you. You're going to learn how to cook for yourself. You're going to wash your own drawers. You're going to cook your own food. And so I grew up in kitchens. My mom had 3 boys. So she passed the legacy on the boys. She's like, you're going to learn how to cook. And then I literally, all the jobs I had through the 6 years, I took a long circuitous route through undergrad. I partied a lot. I had a good time. So I worked in kitchens. I worked in bars. I cooked. I washed dishes.
You worked in the industry.
That was my life. That's how I made money.
Yeah. Wow. So we're going to watch a clip here of you, the nursing school. We're going to take a look at that since we're talking about your poetic endeavors. And yes, you were the inaugural poet laureate of the city of Albuquerque. So that's super exciting. Let's take a listen.
AKA, I can't thank you. Inspired by Bellamy and Francesca. It was decided in 2019 that 2020 would indeed be the year of the nurse and the midwife international. What feels like an entire lifetime before any of us knew 2020 would be a thing. Before we started throwing around the word frontline like it was something new, as though modern nursing wasn't born of bravery and wounded warriors. Like you. The kind that run towards the battlefield with no intent to kill, seeking signs of life while serving as a lighthouse in our darkest of times. Underestimated as harmless, for bringing the thermometer to a gunfight when you are simply hold harmless, like the difference between a hug and a fist, when you are really arms full, giving parents back to their families in one piece, sometimes pieces, sometimes at peace. The boundlessness of your calling goes well beyond the deceased, because you and I both know that the opportunity to bury our dead is the first step to a team. Nurses have been fighting for the very soul of humanity long before it was even a profession, desperately trying to keep all their patients on this side of heaven, regardless of religion, Lord willing, whether it's taking orders from a physician or prescribing a prescription. You're committed to serve those in need and have given up everything from the heart of your sleep to the scrubs off your back for putting our families first. We owe your family thanks. Y'all know you don't do it for the money. You do it for the blood. Thank you. For our sight for sore eyes, we are sick, tired. A form of love that won't fit in a pill. You are a peddler. Hope. I'm still trying to figure out what you do with all that grief. Go home. You are a hero in sheep's clothing. arbiter of rest when sleep is the best medicine. A hymnal hum back your throat. It's the hum. Machines. You are life support. So much so that a bird sang itself after you. The avian saint of bedside manner, the Heidel of an elegy, whether halo or bonnet, you are a flipping scientist, race, class, and gender agnostic, because everybody knows that it is only the male nightingale who sings. Your love of life is androgynous. But when the time comes, you become a bridge over broken water, guiding us and our loved ones to the other side with dignity and grace. I want to thank you today before it's too late, knowing that the odds of our paths crossing again are but a hand wash away. Serve this. The most popular superhero costume this Halloween season. All of us rocking your jersey like it reads analgesia, the Ghostbusters of infectious diseases. I don't need any more reason to wear a mask other than to protect you. For all the times that you saved my life. Turn.
Oh, that was really powerful, Hakim. Thank you so much for that. And you know, one of the things about art is that it moves people.
Hey, Love's Nursery's coming back at you with another video.
It moves people, but I say that it obviously, you know, nurses play such a huge role. I've got nurses in my family, healthcare folks, and during this pandemic. So, you know, you kind of preempted my question. How do we use the arts in an intentional way to really, you know, solve our social problems? You know, we have a lot of issues with misinformation and folks kind of wanting to believe their own thing. But there comes a time where you got to mask up, you know? And so yeah, talk to us about what inspired that, you know.
Yeah, you know, I mean, some of it is just the gig never ends, as they say. Like with being a laureate, we're on our 5th poet laureate in the city of Albuquerque now. Shout out to Mary Oishi and her predecessors, Michelle Otero, Manuel Gonzalez, and Jessica Helen Lopez. But we have a decade legacy now of laureates, poet laureates in the city. And oftentimes you're called to write for occasion, you're called to write for commissions. And I was invited to share that poem, which was kind of a no-brainer to say yes to. It was really early on in the pandemic. And as we just talked about, my background was in medicine, so I have somewhat of a bird's eye view into what is the medical profession, the medical industry. And when I was invited to write a poem that would give thanks and show support to our nurses, like I couldn't write it fast enough, right? Like, you know, I was like, oh, great, yeah, I got something to say about that, right? You know, as it was coming out, you know, the preamble there was to Priscilla Bellamy, my grandmother, who was a nurse, a Black nurse in Philadelphia, who passed away in May of 2019. You know, and then also my current fiance, Francesca, who for a while was a nurse, and being close to the people who take care of families and then leave their families to go take care of other people and risk their lives to do so. I was like, yeah, I got a few things to say about that. And it was easy to show up for that kind of a poem. To your point, it's like, yeah, you know, you get invited to write lots of poems when you serve as a poet laureate. The challenge for me was always to find a genuine connection to what I'm supposed to be writing about. So it was easy for the nurse's poem. Some of the other requests may not have been so easy. So as a journalist, I had to really dig and what's my angle here? What's the thing I can uniquely say? But to the broader question of why does it matter? Why art for change? What's the big deal? I mean, it's art for change no matter what. It's either art for change in your pocket or art to change the world. Either way, it's art for change. It's up to you, right? You know, I don't subscribe to the belief that you have to take a vow of poverty to change the world. Like artists should be paid for their work, right? And so there's a way to do both. What I have a problem with, and I'm already gonna make some enemies probably now, is the people who only do it for the change in their pocket and don't do it to change anyone else's situation other than their own. Like, you know, and I'm like, that to me, I just don't know if, at least for poets, I don't think that's our calling. Maybe something different can be said for other genres of art, but I'm like, that's just not the calling. The calling is really to be a mirror. It's to take in and reflect and push out, and to be a medium and to pretend that it's just our cleverness with words is disingenuous. It is always, you know, in response to what's happening around you. What you choose to see and what you don't choose to see ends up being your work. It's your body of work at the end of the day. And so I think it's bigger than awareness. A lot of people invite artists to speak, like you go to events and write a poem for our event. Like when I first moved here, I was doing a lot of anti-war rallies. You got to remember, when I moved here, we were still in the depths of the Iraq war and later the Afghanistan war. And I ended up showing up on stages with these anti-war poems because I was particularly polarizing and political poet. And the more I went to these rallies and got to read my poem and be the it guy and get props for being there, then people kind of started to say, well, like, what are you doing though for the anti-war movement beyond showing up and reading a poem? And then it became giving my money to stuff. And then it became, oh no, y'all don't pay me, use that for the cause. And then it became, I'm going to rallies where I'm actually not even on the agenda. I'm at the march not because I'm speaking, because I'm actually believe that we can end a war. And I'm bringing my son. Like I brought my son to Occupy when it was at UNM. It's like teaching him to be like, yo, this is what it's about, whether daddy is invited to read a poem or not. This is who we are, son. And so I just feel like that's, I mean, I don't know that I set out to be a activist poet, but I don't know that I had a choice. So. You're on mute. I think I can't hear you.
Well, there you go. It's like the Zoom conference meetings, right? You're on mute. But, you know, you bring up a good point, Hakim. I know you can remember the 90s with Michael Jordan and all that. And here's a great athlete who didn't really say much about issues. And there were issues back then, right? I mean, you know, and so, but it wasn't really, I hate to use the word expected, but it was, you know, you had before that some trailblazers like Muhammad Ali, but it was always like, you know, oh, they're out of the ordinary. Flash forward till now, you know, you got LeBron James being very vocal, and you have lots of athletes almost feeling like, you know, if I'm staying quiet, then I'm almost part of the problem. You know what I mean? And I think I've been really excited to see that change in society. Then is there something equivalent, you think, in the arts as the movement in sports?
You know, I generally feel like, I mean, it's almost a little bit of a double-edged sword, right? Because if we look at let's take it back to, you know, I'm 42. So let's take it back to my parents' generation, right? And, you know, Marvin Gaye didn't see himself as particularly political, but then he writes what's going on. Like, you know, I just saw a great documentary on Sam Cooke, who was kind of loathed in his own way for leaving the church and becoming a more secular artist. But he also, you know, was writing these songs like A Change Gonna Come. And so I just feel like we've made activism such a polarizing thing that these Black artists, these Black athletes, like they're kind of always speaking out, whether they're speaking out or not. like they're just like, you know, you're almost like I was told as a young Black man that any room I walk into, I've radicalized that room by refusing to be invisible. I've radicalized that room. I am now on the mind of most people in that room. And I feel it as a Black man in Albuquerque. Like, you know, I grew up in Philadelphia, South Jersey, where it was a much larger part of the population was African-American. But like, yeah, I knew it from my early days in school. Like when I come in a room, generally people know where I am in the room. They make a note to know. If I'm at the buffet table, they know. If I'm behind them, they certainly know. If I left to go to the bathroom, they know. When I come back, they know. Like, you know, so it's almost like, you know, people are aware of you, and it makes you, it shouldn't make you move in the world differently, but it makes you move in the world with a different sense of awareness. And so I will say this for Michael Jordan, because that was one of the most bingeable series of the pandemic, The Last Dance.
That's right.
Michael Jordan, like, you know, he was doing some heavy lifting in some other areas, right? So he didn't speak out. He didn't feel like he needed to be a Al Sharpton,
right?
But he blackened Nike. He blackened Gatorade.
Okay.
He made it more palatable to see Black spokespersons pitching for products so that LeBron easily gets those gigs and can be more vocal in a different space, right? Like, you know, and so before we get too hard on those folks, and maybe
Right.
I just know a little bit more now that I'm older and occupying different spaces in the community, different spaces of power. Yeah, it's like the biggest challenge is that if Mike would have been a little bit more vocal, what would that have done to the market for a lot of the Black talent now that's able to be more vocal? We don't know. We just don't know.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You know, very good point. Yeah, and you know, and you gotta kind of look at it like that. You know, in certain respects, that what could be done, and how that sets the stage for now. So super awesome. So what can we expect from Hakim in the future with arts? Are you going to go back to emceeing or what?
Well, before we pivot,
Yeah.
I will just say, you know, for our younger listeners,
Yes,
they might not know names like Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. They might not know names like Craig Hodges. Like, these are very vocal NBA players who are very vocal about the world's interface, particularly America's interface with Black men, long before BLM. And both of their careers evaporated the moment they spoke out. They were Colin Kaepernick long before Colin Kaepernick. And Craig played with Mike, right? You know, so they were contemporaries. And so those are the things that we're like, I'm not saying Mike did the right thing or the wrong thing. I would hope that if I was in the same position, I would have spoke out. But you know, there's a cost. Like you said, Ali lost his belt, got it back, and still showed the world he was the greatest. That's not always the case for these athletes, because as you and I both know, things can change greatly with your body from one year to the next. And you know, they're trying to figure it, and they're like, what, 25, 24, 26. Like, it's we have to be careful what we're asking of young Black men too. like we got to be careful. No,
that's true. That, you know, you bring up a lot of good points, you know, and you know, Ali, I think they ripped off some of his best years there, unfortunately, but yeah.
Right, there's no telling. Like, he's great right now in history. Like, he's competitive record, but like, imagine if he didn't lose 3 or 4 years at his prime. Like, you know, so.
We gotta pick that one up too. We gotta get you back on for the sports commentary.
Oh, that's gonna be the fun one. When I retire from the city, you and I should start. We need an ESPN Albuquerque.
We do. You know, we definitely do. We need to, you know, for sure. We need to kind of get the everyday fans, folks' perspective.
You know, I watch these things. I watch, you know, Stephen A. He's a Philly guy. I watch Stephen A. and Max Kellerman. I watch First Take. I watch Skip and Shannon. I'm like, you and I could do that. We could do that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm, you know, seriously, brother. I'm gonna go ahead and let's give Hakim a second to take off his, you know, MC attire and put on his city attire. And, you know, we've got someone that you've worked with before coming on after you, Mr. Chris Brennan, if you've heard of that gentleman.
Yes, I know him.
It's exciting to have all you guys on here, and ladies as well. And thank you for filling us in on an artist perspective of progressive, how you can be more intentional and progressive in solutions. But when we come back, we're going to talk to Hakim, to Deputy Director Bellamy, and we're going to talk to him about what the city's doing. And the city's been doing a lot, you know, but let's hear it from the, I don't want to call you a horse, but let's hear it from Hakim's mouth. All right.
Hakim's mouth.
I'll see you here in a second after this quick break.
Give
back with Hakim Bellamy, Deputy Director Bellamy. Before we go to Hakim, I want to shout out Reviva. That's Burque, a song by Reviva. Yes, Mr. Chris Brennan will be on any second now. And that last picture you saw of that was downtown. That's Visit Albuquerque, Visit ABQ. Check out their website. Those guys do so much work for the city. As Hakim knows, they work with the city as well to promote all the awesome things that are going on in town. And they still have been pushing it 24/7, even during the pandemic. And so that's a picture that they let me use. I think that was 1930s downtown. You saw the sunshine sign and all that. So yes, we're back with Mr. Hakim Bellamy, Deputy Director for the City of Albuquerque. And let's go ahead before we even start talking to you, Mr. Bellamy. Well, let's how about I say hello? How about you say hello as the Deputy Director?
Hello, and I will double down on your big love to the Visit Albuquerque team, Tanya Armenta and the staff there. We do get to partner with them routinely. A lot more when we had a lot more live events happening in our city in the Cultural Services Department. Now we have a lot more virtual events than live events because pandemic, but they were a huge partner in helping us really lift up the arts scene and to really showcase the creative energy in our city to folks who travel here when they're allowed to. So thank you to Visit Albuquerque. So.
Yeah, that's it's very, there's a lot of folks like that who work, stakeholders who work with the city and periphery, sometimes directly, and yeah, they've always helped out. When I was at the rail yards, they were always lend a hand. So tell us, Hakim, with the pandemic and all that, y'all of course have been on the forefront of informing us and keeping us posted what's going on with COVID and all that, and we appreciate that. And Mayor Keller. Of course, had there not been a pandemic, we'd be just going straight into the talk of the arts, of how, the mayor has been a big proponent of the arts, and through cultural services and through other departments, he's really pushed that forward, pushed that to the fore. Talk a little bit about your experience there at the cultural services and what you guys got planned.
Sure. To your point about Mayor Keller, he has an economic strategy that has 6 components, and he made creative economy one of those 6. And so very early on in the administration, he made it clear that, the path to prosperity in this city goes squarely through the artistic community, through the creative economy. It's a thing that our state has prided itself on for years. People talk about it being a creative vortex. They talk about the Taos. I'm in Taos right now, right? They talk about the Taos Society of Artists. They talk about, the legacy of art, whether it be indigenous Native American art, all the way through contemporary art of this place. And it becomes a calling card of our state. People come here for the look, for the feel, for the energy. And so to not consider that when you're trying to say, how do we grow an economy, as Mayor likes to say, that works for everyone, and to not include the arts in the creative economy and the creative workers, would be a huge oversight. And of course, the mayor didn't make that oversight. And I'm not saying past administrations did. I'm just saying that he put it out front, and I'm thankful that he did. It helps that he hires artists and puts us in positions. My boss and I, the director of cultural services, Dr. Shel Sanchez, and I both are writers and artists, and lucky for the city and for our 500 employees, we know how to do other things okay too. So we've been able to steer our department, through a pandemic. We are the cultural services. A lot of people don't know this, but in our city, as 20, I always get this wrong. It's 22, 24, 26 different departments. Some departments are under operations, some are under the CAO, like police and legal departments. But of the operational departments, I think there's 22 of us. Your operational departments are like solid waste and things like that. But we're the people-wise, the 4th largest department in the city. Like we have our department grows in the summer when it's a normal summer, and we have temps that work at different events, Summerfest events at the ballpark and at the libraries. We go to about 500 people. We generally cover around 350 or 400 folks, but and budget wise, we're in the middle of the pack. We're like, of the 22 departments, we're like 10th or 11th as far as budget size, and that's for 40 million, excuse me, I was gonna say 4 million, $40 million a year budget, you know. And most of that, like the non-sexy part of that, but the absolutely essential part of that, my day-to-day and my job is cutting those people's checks, making sure that we're hiring folks and filling positions when they're vacant. And that's been especially important through the pandemic, that we've been able to not, unlike a lot of cities around the country, we've not had to do layoffs, we've not had to do furloughs. People have continued to get their full paychecks and their health benefits, more importantly. And it's a blessing to be able to do that. And that's not just good leadership from me and Shell. That's good leadership from the mayor, the executive team, from Sanjay, the CFO, from Sarita Nair, the CAO, from Lawrence Rael, the COO. This city made a lot of good decisions, budget and money-wise, 2 years ago, that allowed us to not have to lay people off right now, even though our city was very much impacted by, you know, the lack of gross receipts tax, the lack of money in circulation. Think about the first 3 or 4 months of the pandemic, March, April, May. No one was spending money, so that means there were no tax dollars coming in, and that's how your city operates, you know. So. Okay,
well, thanks for filling us in. You know, a lot of times people don't understand the ins and outs, the mechanisms of budgets and all that, and that is, you know, testimony to folks like you and Shell and the mayor. And other folks, of course, that you mentioned, that everybody, you know, kept on getting paid and working. And of course, you know, that's at the end of the day, right? You need to pay those bills. You know, I don't mean to laugh, but it's one of those things where it's so obvious. For
our department, Alex, you know, like you invited me on this show because we're a big anchor for the creative economy as far as the arts. That's only like a fraction of what our department does. We also manage the biopark. Like, our largest operation is the biopark. And like, just because there's a pandemic, animals still got to be fed. We still got to buy food. Still got to pay people to feed them. they're alive, you know. So it's like, and you know, and in better times, the biopark has public art on it. It has concerts. It has all the things. Like, that's what makes our department such a no pun intended, a menagerie of things, is because, you know, we are libraries and theaters and public art and animals, like, you know, and animals. So.
Yeah. Well, those are those costs that people don't think about that much, and you know, but it's a real thing, you know, right? I mean, who feeds the lion?
Right. Exactly.
They're gonna give you that job.
They are absolutely essential employees.
If you guys have to start furloughing people, hopefully not, but they'll have to like have you feed the lions too.
Yeah, huh? See, well, we have another deputy in our department, Brandon Gibson. Brandon has actually been in the aquarium tank to feed the sharks.
Oh, no.
Braver than I, so I would hope he would go feed the lions before I had to go feed the lions.
Yeah. So Hakim, you know, one of the things that I'm trying to do with the show is leverage the film industry here in New Mexico, and have folks like, you know, the filmmakers, Netflix, Universal, all those folks that are in town, have them talk about their experiences here, and of course their project. And at the same time, I feel like that they'll help shine a light on stuff that you're doing with the city, you're doing as an artist, Chris is doing, Audrey's doing, all these kinds of folks. So I really thank you for being on here. I want to play a quick video here of you, you know, shouting out our hometown here, Albuquerque. And give me 1 second as I cue it up, as they say. And then you can listen along.
When they said make Albuquerque great again, never scared like the Pueblo revolt, made Albuquerque brave again. Where the creation stories create us, so don't look surprised when we fancy ourselves story creators. In Father God's own image, so I pray you forgive our transition to Mother Nature. We, transgender, translanguage, transnation, and transracial. Translation, Rasa Cosmica, we might as well be the Zia symbol of transportation. Might as well big eye our third eye, north, south, east, west. Been a bullseye for migration ever since we rat-a-tat-tatted that codex on our chest. My city, relentless, where the living is more but the rent's less, where piece of land has always meant peace of mind. And my pacientes understand that the Cibola Coronado could never find was actually inside the people he never mind. My city, 5,300 feet above sea level. So believe me when I say you can't see us. My city been greater than great again since Albuquerque was Tiwa. Whether food, weather, or people, there are no wrong reasons to fall for all our seasons. My city got limitless vistas with no visas that make believers out of non-believers, that make I have a dreamers out of mere mortal human beings. You could blame our skies that don't quit. We right at home with those ideas that don't fit. Where God put the goalposts so far apart that our prayers always go in them. Where the table is always set to welcome saints and sinners. But it's never Last Supper because there's always another feast.
There you go. Hey, look, that was awesome. Listen, let's, before you go, really quick, tell me a little bit about that artist and that foundation you guys are raising money for.
Oh snap! Yeah, Umar, he goes by the name UIM. It's his hip hop artist name. He's from here, first generation Middle Eastern American, and a physician. So he's actually doing his rotations. We did that a year ago. So he moved to the Bay Area to do his rotations as a physician. So he has to get his rotations in before he can come back home and practice medicine. So he's a multi-talented, super smart guy. Met him through a good friend of mine, Anthony Flagg, who also was a hip hop lover and physician. Shout out to Running Medicine, the amazing organization there. And through his partnership with Anthony and Running Medicine, they used the proceeds of the CD sales to support. You saw in that video, you saw the music program. Also, you saw Running Medicine. Anthony, his group was in there. So many of the proceeds from the record sales went to these amazing organizations that are doing work in my now and Umar's hometown. And so, like, again, that's just an example of, like, you know, we're not out here necessarily selling millions and billions of records. We're not out here trying to make record labels wealthy. We're trying to do what we love to do and create art. And if it can benefit people besides us, we're fortunate to do so. And hopefully the art's good too. I'm stunned every time I watch that video by the videography. You spoke of the film industry. So shout out to Mr. Gutierrez and Umar for that, because they really showed out on the videography on that video. So.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, that was very impressive, and you know, you obviously still have some skills.
Oh, you know, even old man can have a few, hip hop bars every now and then.
There's gonna be
the memory's not too good. Now I have to write them down. I can't memorize them. No, I have to like read them.
You have to read them. That's a good one. So what can we look forward to as a city, you know, in the arts, and you know, I know we're still under, you know, the quarantine and all that, but what are we looking at? Hopefully, when things, cross our fingers, go back to normal, what are we looking at?
Well, I'll tell you one of the biggest things, and this is, you know, we try not to be prideful people, but one of the things I'm most proud of my team, which is the department that Shell and I and Brennan get to lead into battle, if you will, is that our different divisions were able to cobble together early on in the pandemic. Back in late May, June, we were able to cobble together $500,000 from our operating budget. A lot of those things were savings, right? So if there's no Summerfest, what do you do with that money, right? Like, you know, things like that. And and through like different departments, like our community events division, through our media resources division, who you spoke earlier about how good a job the city has done keeping people informed. That's also in our department. We manage GovTV and the public access channels. And so they're the ones that are covering the mayor and getting all that out there. They're the ones that are taking the online programming that the libraries and the museums do and making it available to families, to making it available to students in APS. And so those divisions have really been put like on the front lines, right? Like they have to do much more than they've done in the past. And in some ways reimagine totally how they do their work. But collectively, we put together $500,000 in relief and recovery funds that we put out into the community in April, May, June. And then we just put out another almost $500,000 through our UETF program for programs to make sure that our creative economy, if you think of our creative economy as a constellation, as a bunch of points, you know, in the sky, when you lose a Trick Lock Theater, which we've lost, when you lose, you know, an Outpost performance space, which we haven't lost, you know, that is a huge blow to future generations of not just consumers of art, but artists themselves who get gigs through those entities. And so being able to like literally put about $1 million out over the course of the pandemic has been a huge, it's been a huge honor to be a part of a team that we challenge to go look in their budgets and come up with opportunities that we can get this money into the hands of people who need it, and hopefully save some of our stages, if you will, save some of these organizations long enough so that when we do open up, as we are beginning to do as vaccines come out and people continue to social distance, that if we say maybe by the summer, we can kind of be having people gathering at outdoor events again, like that's, you know, that's great for us. That's what we want to see happen. And as much as we can keep the people who, the city is not the only people in town that throws events, right? But as much as we can help those other entities that really throw the cool events, you know, our events are cool, but like, you know, the paid events, the events that are really paying salaries for folks out in the world and out in the community, then that's our job. That's the role of government. Like, you know, that's our own unique stimulus package for the creative economy that we were able to do. And I'm really proud of that work. And that ensures that when we do open up, that there are still people who are able to put art on stages, whether it's theater, whether it's music, whether it's poetry, and what have you. So we're excited for that. We're excited that we've been able to, like, you know, steady the ship through the roughest part of the pandemic. But we got some things happening around just, you know, creating more virtual programming, which is what we've been doing and to continue to do. And that's not going to go away. We think that a lot of those things are just going to be par for the course. So as we go back to public in-person programming, we still now, we set a new bar now for like virtual stuff and stuff that's really accessible to folks. So we have to we got to continue to do that. And so it's going to be a challenge on us to find the resources to do that, because doing virtual events is very different than doing live events. And so we want to continue to do that. We don't imagine school's going to be back in session this spring. So we've kind of been helping APS fill a little bit of the gap there in cultural and creative programming. And so we want to continue to do that. And then just look for opportunities to really, you know, if we didn't learn anything from 2020, we learned how to be flexible, how to reimagine and reinvent on the fly. And if you know anything about government typically isn't good at doing that. And so I think that since we've showed a little bit of agility, now the public is going to hold us accountable to continuing to be creative and agile in those spaces. So.
Yeah, well, yeah, you know, you bring up some good points. Being agile and being able to, you know, move quickly in this environment. You know, it's probably gonna benefit us all in the future. So we really appreciate all your work on behalf of everyone. And if there's teachers, schools out there want to get in touch with you in terms of programs for education wise, like opportunities to partner and all that stuff, where can we? I guess I'll just put your email online, huh?
Put my email on the interwebs. It's H Bellamy, H for Hakim, my last name, B as in boy, ELLA, M as in Mary, Y, at CABQ for City of Albuquerque, cabq.gov.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Hakim, thanks a lot, brother. Really appreciate having you on. And of course, we want to have you back on again. Well, you know, have fun up there in Taos, and we'll see you when you get back. And then I got to have you on to talk a little more sports. Is your team eliminated officially? Or
Man, my team is out of the running. It's we're the only team in the NFC least, a terrible division, one of the historically worst divisions in the National Football League, and yet we weren't even able to make it out the basement. Therefore, this is another thing that's going to get me hate mail. We have to deal with Cowboys fans for another year, unfortunately. But I'm hopeful that the Washington football team, I'm hopeful that Jalen Hurts has a good showing, because I like what's happening there. But I am hopeful that they win the division, the Washington football team, because they deserve it. And any team that changes its name from a racist slur to anonymous should get rewarded for that good deed. And I think it's fitting for a year that was pretty much down in the dumps for this country to be forced to watch the outcome of that division on Sunday Night Football. I think that's just
well, I like the younger quarterback they have. I forget his name.
Hurts.
Yeah. How could I forget? You know, I'll probably get some hate mail too, but I was never the biggest Wentz fan. That was a lot of money they threw at him.
We threw a lot of money at him, man. And I was on the Wentz wagon full bore. I hope that he is a successful quarterback again. I don't know if it will be in Philadelphia.
Doesn't look like
it's a hard city, dog. It's a hard city. And when you lose them, you've lost them. Ask Charles Barkley. Ask Allen Iverson. Ask anybody who's played in Philly, dog. Ask McNabb. Ask Vic. Man, As Cunningham, yeah, it's a rough city to play football in, especially for quarterbacks. So.
Yeah, well, you know, people love Allen Iverson. They never, so
yeah.
So he's one of those transcendental kind of basketball athletes.
He was he pretty much was he like all of the characteristics that make up what Philadelphia is. You could, like, if you think of Philadelphia, if you simplify Philadelphia as a Rocky movie, all of those like scrappy, undersized, never gonna win, you can't do it. Like Iverson literally embodied the whole city's energy. He was everything that like,
undersized, yeah. I was rooting for him, man. I was rooting for him. But you know, yeah, so Hakim, I'm rooting for you and the city and everything that you're all up to. Super excited. We're gonna have
repping the flag, you know. That's what's up. Shout out to the state of the city.
Because I did this
coming up soon. We're not doing it in January like we normally do. I think it's going to be in March. Because we're on a pandemic schedule. But yeah.
It's funny because in one of my little promo things, I said I'm not a flag waver. Here's my flag. Well, is this a flag? What is this called? I don't even know.
It's a bandera, right? It's a flag.
Yeah, I guess so. He caught me. Hey, brother. Well, you have a nice night. Thanks a lot for spending some time with us. We'll have you pop on periodically. I really want to know what's going on with city, you know, as things change, of course. But you know, shout out to the mayor who's been on top of the COVID response as well. Hakim, everybody in his office, and so we'll talk to you soon, Hakim. Have fun in Taos and be safe up there.
Mad love to you. Mad love to Christoph. Glad you got a good closer here.
Christoph's my closer in the bullpen.
We'll make it Irie, and I love that montage you showed in the break. You know, I mean, I gotta give a plug back to our little commercial break there. We had a bunch of projects in there, man. We worked on some things. We gotta keep it going.
Been working, yes, for sure. We do have some more books coming out this year, Hakim, and one of them, the authors is related to you. So it's Miss Jennifer Bellamy.
Oh yeah, that's my cousin, huh? That's my sister-in-law.
Sister-in-law, yeah, and she's got an awesome book coming out. We've got Samuel's story coming out in Spanish.
And I know, I'm excited.
You know, the COVID thing pushed everything back.
Yeah.
And so that was stuff. So that'll be nice. And we'll have you read it in Spanish as well, which has been a very exciting part because I know you're up in Taos learning Spanish.
I try, man. I think it way better than I understand it, but you know, I can, yeah. You give me some good coaching. We'll be all right.
Yeah. Awesome, brother. Well, be safe out there, like we said, and we will see you on the other side.
Sounds good. Thanks, Alex. Take care. Give Mighty Soul my best.
We'll do. Thanks,
all right now.
All right. Yeah, that was Hakim Bellamy. And we're going to go ahead and watch. We're having some technical issues here getting Brennan on here as Reviva, but we're going to open either way with a video by his band Reviva. And this is one of my favorite ones because it speaks to climate change and natural beauty and the need to work together. And that's really what the band, you know, I hate to encapsulate a great band like Reviva because they sing about a lot of things, but to me, they bring this positive message of unity and cooperation, helping each other out. So hopefully we can fix our issues with Chris on the other side. If not, we'll have to definitely bring him back on. But for now, just enjoy the answer.
Just try to get through the day. Had a very hungry day. She can't find no food to make. And she's struggling. And burning up from the heat. Couple to hunt again. It's 3 days they can't find. So she wanna run away. She run away. gotta hide the proof. Hide the proof. The storms, they are raging. So we gotta try to do the best we can. One time, world turn blue, world turn blue. Sing with me, man, and it's true. Yeah. So only think about yourself, you see, you only got one way. Escape from this hell, you just got to, yeah. Make yourself laugh, we only got one way. Escape from this. The answer, it lies within. I hear it blowing in the wind. The answer, it lies within. I hear it blowing in the sun. The answer, it lies within. I hear it blowing in the wind. The answer, it lies within. I hear it blowing in the sun. The answer, it lies within. I hear it blowing in the wind. The answer, it lies within. I hear it blowing in the sun. The answer, it lies within. I hear it blowing in the wind. The answer, it lies within. I hear it blowing in the sun. The answer, it lies within. I hear it blowing in the wind. The answer, it lies within. I hear it blowing in the sun. The answer, it lies within. I hear it blowing in the wind. The answer, it lies within. I hear it blowing in the sun.
All right, that's Reviva, Chris Brennan, the lead singer there. We are still trying and hoping that we can fix the technical problems and have him on to join us. But you know, one of the things about, as I was saying about the band and Chris, is that he's very, very much socially conscious, and they do it in a way where, you know, it's not necessarily kind of a in your face kind of thing. And, you know, a lot of us are familiar with their music and what they've done over the years. In Albuquerque, they've been around for 10, this is like the 11th year. I don't want to get confused here. They've had a lot of awesome members over the years. Shout out to Gerald Garcia, Glenn Buddha Benavides, some of Danny the Harp, some of the legendary musicians that were in the band, and in Jerry's case, helped start the band. So definitely want to pay respects to those folks. All right, we're going to go ahead and play a song, La Verdad. And this is their website, revivaband.com. And we're going to give this a listen here real quick. Or we're going to try to give it a listen. Oh, I don't know if it's on our end, but it seems like I'm having trouble playing this track that's on their website. Let's check out some of their music here. Oh, and I should also, of course, mention that the active band members, Rick Gonzalez, Reagan Espinosa, Adam Moffett, Brian Schoner, and then there's a picture of Cody Jones, who also used to play with the band. So another thing I want to mention about Chris is that he works in healthcare, First Choice Community Healthcare. They're a non-for-profit organization, and they have clinics around town, and they are a big part of the community in terms of services they provide that are not provided by other organizations. I hesitate to go too deep into that. I know they're a nonprofit, and Chris was going to come on and talk to us about that, but we haven't been able to fix the issue. And so we're going to have to talk about inviting him on for another session. But if you get a chance, jump on here. This is First Choice Community Healthcare. Chris is really passionate about non-for-profit healthcare. I think, you know, this is smARTalk, and we're having, we're looking for progressive solutions to our most pressing social problems. Easy for me to say. And your community healthcare, community health, it provides services that are much needed, and regardless of your income level. And I think these are the kind of folks who are going to help us move toward universal healthcare. So as I said, I don't want to speak for Chris or any First Choice, but I definitely support universal healthcare. It's the model all across the world, and it's allows for some country to work to deal with the pandemic in a more humane way, and so we'll have to have Chris back on to talk about that. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break here, see if we can reach Chris. If not, we will definitely have him on in the meantime. Let's just take a quick break.
You're listening to smARTalk, conversations with filmmakers regarding progressive solutions to society's most pressing problems.
Okay, I'll catch you right now. All right, so there's that little clip there. Shout out to Paloma Cordova and Greg Hernandez for their work. Greg Hernandez put the music together. Of course, he's a musician out in LA. We all know him in some of the great bands. And then Paloma Cordova is Marisol Paramo's mother. And here we are with Chris Brennan. We were able to fix it. Chris,
we got it. We got it.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
How are you doing? You're looking very nice there. I like the hair. Looking good. Hey, Chris, we just talked to Hakim about what the city's doing, and I was just showing the folks a little bit about First Choice Healthcare, First Choice Community Healthcare, and obviously you've been with them for a while. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit more what they're about?
Yeah. So our mission is to improve the life skills, health, and well-being of mostly everyone in our community and all the communities we serve. So it's I've been working there since 2014, and I love it, man. It's a great place. We're a lot of our providers, nurses, medical assistants are on the front lines of the COVID pandemic and helping out our community in that. But more importantly, what I think, what attracts me to the organization is just the fact that they're all about community health, looking at the social determinants of health, and they do a great job.
Yeah, and you mentioned the social determinants of health and healthcare. When you look at obviously, we're probably all tired talking about the pandemic, but it's such a big thing in our world. Some of the social determinants, unfortunately, cause communities of color to suffer in greater numbers, I guess, in percentage-wise. Have you found that to be the experience there at First Choice as well?
Well, of course, and there's evidence that in places like New York City, where there's a lack, which I know you're from Queens, there's a lack of community health centers there, and that contributed to, of course, all the risk factors, diabetes, high blood pressure, and that's really what community healthcare is about. We've had some of our providers recently passed their functional medicine boards, which is really important for New Mexico. They're looking at wellness as a whole. So it's not just when you go to the doctor and you have certain issues, but it's how are you eating? What are you eating? How often do you exercise? What's your access to food security, job security, economic growth, and overall happiness, as you know. And I know that's a big part of this, is that everyone should have a fair opportunity to live healthy, breathe healthy air, eat well, and educate themselves. And I know that's a big part of community publishing and your overall mission.
Yeah, and Chris, you mentioned something in the field of prevention, right? Eating right, exercise. That's education. I mean, that's folks need to be educated, and you know that I do some teaching, and I try to bring that into the curriculum as much as possible. Do you all at First Choice provide literature or information on folks or to folks, I should say, in terms of those types of things?
Of course, yeah. And not just in medical health, but also in dental health, behavioral health. We have psychiatrists, psychiatric nurse practitioner on board. So, we're all struggling through all of this together. And, I'm just grateful to be surrounded by people who are committed to that mission of improving well-being and health, and eventually, hopefully, happiness for all of us as a community.
Yeah, that's a good transition, as we say. You write a peace blog for community publishing, and I always notice that you sprinkle some ideas about how it all leads to happiness. If you're peaceful, happiness, balance, like how all those things go together. Where did you kind of come to that awareness? Was it at Notre Dame, or was it where was it?
Yeah, I think definitely my Notre Dame buddies helped me. I want to give a shout out to Sam Pendergast, my Aussie best friend, who was a champion and always taught me that. But, also just going to the Peace Corps, and I think about this a lot. We often complain, even I got my $600 stimulus today, which was nice, but
you did?
Yeah, I did right away. So hit me up.
Everybody go out and check out their accounts.
but it's funny how we complain about a lot of things in America, but being in the Peace Corps and seeing a place where, and I think you talk about community publishing, the government can do so much, but living in a place where the community helps each other out so much, the neighbors, they don't rely on government, but they're just kind of on their own. They help each other with food, with whatever it is, with work. And that's something I think we could really learn from them, for sure.
So you're talking about a combination of self-sustainability and working in community together to kind of make each other aware, and I think that's a really good point. What I hate to use the word but what we as people in a community, what we is responsible too strong of a word, what are we responsible for towards each other? You know what I mean? Like, what do you think about that? Is there a personal responsibility aspect towards each other, not just yourself?
Well, there's a great book I'm reading. It's called The Upswing. I'm going to give it to you as soon as I finish, but it's a study of the rise and fall of sort of American cooperation and how we went from, in the early 1900s, we started at looking at ourselves as the I and not as much as we. And growing towards the 60s and 70s, we really learned to, World War II, other things brought us together, and we came together, whether that's as a country, as a people, and as a we. And unfortunately, the last half of the 19th century was most of us going more towards selfie culture. And, what I think at the end of the day, the answer is, we need to come together again as a community, and whatever that looks like, You know, I think that's hopefully going into 2021. We have to learn to depend on each other. We have to learn to respect each other's cultures, learn that Black Lives Matter. You know, just we have steps that we need to make. Of course, climate change. We have a lot of issues that, as human beings, if we're going to survive,
Yeah.
that's what we got to do.
Well, we want to kind of survive and also thrive, right? Folks should, not just work themselves to death, but also find some fulfillment. It's something that folks in the progressive movement talk about, that if you're working a full-time job or two jobs, you should have enough to like live a life where you can go out on a Saturday night and go see the Reviva play. You know what I mean? And not worried about like having to pay your light bill and stuff. So you bring up a
Well,
lot
our
of
shows are free, so don't you know?
they're free. Online, they're free. But going back to the Reviva, we just watched The Answer, and there's a lot of vivid imagery there of New Mexico, and looks like there's some drone footage and all that. But you did address in that video, there's a scene there where you have the folks taking a selfie. Is that something that in that video, was that something that you decided to put in when you were talking with the filmmakers? How did that work?
Well, Adam Moffat worked really hard with me on that video, and we went clip by clip. I don't think that's a main focus, but it is, that's something I think that I see on a daily basis, and I'm sure you struggle with as well as we're going into 2021, how much social media versus real life, and kind of finding that balance, right? Where we have to connect with each other on a human basis first, and then kind of worry about the social media aspect after. So that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, and well, that's kind of a subtext of the video, right? And the broader subject is climate change, and in education we kind of struggle with not stepping the line and saying, well, we're going to endorse this candidate or whatever. But I feel sometimes we just toe the line too much, and we're not more intentional, right? This is what to me the 2021 is about. And I feel like when I watch you play, sing and play, and on stage, you have this persona of a lot of balance. But when you look at your messages, or you look at your blog, or you look at your music, you do put like real, I guess, real intentional messages out there. And do you have any thoughts in terms of 2021, what it is you personally are looking to accomplish? I don't know if that's the right word, but accomplish in a more societal kind of aspect.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right in that, whatever each of us is going to do, we have to do individually in order to contribute to the community. So for me, I'm looking forward to a year, hopefully more peaceful as possible, a little bit more calm. I think 2021, that's what I'm looking for, is just a little bit more calm. And hopefully for me, working at First Choice and thinking about community health, and also just being a part of the music community and Reviva, hopefully the songs and everything that we're working towards contributes to well-being, health and well-being. And I think that's what I think the lesson is for us as human beings going into 2021.
Okay, and since you brought up the subject, what are we? I understand that the band has cooked up some new tunes, and what are we looking at in terms of timeline?
Yeah, we have a couple new singles coming out. We got Ryan Montano. You can see him there on the trumpet. We're excited about him. His album on the jazz platform has done really well. So we're excited to add him. And, they should be out within, we're hoping by late January, February, some new tunes. Be Here is the front runner that we're really looking forward to. So and we're mostly we're just waiting to for everyone to get vaccinated, or as much of us who trust in the science to do that, and be playing again. You know, that's the most exciting part.
Yeah, definitely important to do that. Can you like give us like a little clue, or you know, a little insight into the sound? Are we expecting to hear it like the traditional Reviva, or are we looking at a new direction? I know Ryan brings so much to the band, obviously Reagan and Adam and yourself. Are we looking at some kind of a new direction, but with a Reviva stamp?
No, I mean, you know, it's same old Reviva, but I think only better. We're just getting better with the time and looking forward to that. And I know you're gonna ask me this as well, but you know, we also have some side projects going on. Ricky G has got Vibe Strong going good again, and I know Reagan's working with Buddha on some good stuff, and I'm also doing a couple tidying up some stuff with dials at Central Root that we've done over the years, working on some, you know, I wouldn't call it solo. There's a lot of collaborative partners, but, you know, just some different stuff as well. So I think that's been the blessing of slowing down, is all of us kind of branching out a little bit. And I think that will only make Reviva stronger.
Well, you know, and you mentioned the work you're doing with Dials. Shout out to Central Roots Studios. They're here in town, easy enough to find, and probably I'll put up a link to their website. Dials is always doing some good work. What can we kind of expect of that? We're, you know, hopefully you'll send us a link here one of these days, and we can do a sneak peek over here. But I've heard the music. What would you kind of describe it as?
Yeah, I think mostly kind of Caribbean vibes, you know, and a little bit of acoustic stuff, going back to my roots. So I like that, and it feels good. And obviously, just being in a pandemic, it's difficult to connect with so many people. So I appreciate this time to look a little bit more within.
Yeah, you know, I'm with you on that, and looking within, and to see how we can be intentional and you know, being playing a bigger role in our community. I'm going to play an older video here, if you remember this one, and because it's kind of interesting the way the pandemic has kind of washed over temporarily all these other issues, and so we touched upon climate change with the answer. Here's this one called "Take Me Away," and I'll play that, and then we can talk about it a little bit when we get back.
To get away, so they called me refugee. They came and took our land, so we all set out to sea. And then some people come and they help to rescue me. But now I live in fear when I see the dead beauty. But if I have done you wrong, and if we can get along, although we sing different songs, don't mean that I must be gone. Take me away. Take me away. Now they're trying to take all my rights away from me. But not without a fight, if it's done so hastily. I spend another year without seeing my family. I shed too many tears living with this agony. But though I don't bother you, you know
right.
Big up, Smarty Soul.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, that was quite the experience. That video was super awesome, Chris. So talk to us a little bit about what motivated you to write that song. You know, one thing I want to bring into this conversation is your experience in Nicaragua. You're fluent in Spanish, and you've always been a big, I would call you a member of the Latin community here in town, because you've always been a big supporter. You've always done songs in Spanish. Tell me like how that affinity grew, and what part does you being in Nicaragua play with you coming up with a song like this?
Well, I think more than anything, just being from New Mexico and growing up on the border, I think a lot of people in the United States don't even know that we're a state still, and we're fine with that, right? So, I grew up with there you go, one Albuquerque. I grew up, just with a Spanish-speaking babysitter taking care of me, and I was the only gringuito, so that's been a big part of my life. And Nicaragua was a great experience, for me, reflecting on it now a lot, just living, my personal experience living in an all Caribbean community mostly was where I was, and 90% Black, and they taught me a lot of stuff just about slowing life down and being okay with each other, helping each other out. So Pearl Lagoon, big shout out to Pearl Lagoon.
Yeah, no, so folks can check out those videos at Reviva's YouTube. They've got a lot of cool videos. You can see a younger Chris on there, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Buddha's on there. Some of the folks, shout out to some of the folks that musicians I was talking about that have been in the band in the past. Gerald Garcia, who helped create the band. Also, his sound on the guitar was so definitive. Of course, Buddha, Reagan, and all the folks. But going back to this song in particular, obviously it touches upon the theme of immigration. And now we have a new administration that we hope will be more friendly towards immigration again. What are your hopes, or what are you looking to see the new administration address?
I think that the new administration is going to address a few things. Climate change is probably going to be the first. Obviously, COVID is the most important, and acknowledging the fact that it's going to go up to 400,000, 500,000 Americans have died. So I know it's difficult, but I think just having a figurehead who is at least preaching peace and thinking about that will make a big difference. And hopefully any add-ons we can get in terms of helping the environment. Of course, the Supreme Court already rejected some of the lawsuits against DACA, which was a big win. So,
yeah,
I'm most excited just to have a little bit of peace and calm in the White House, and not to be worried about, threats on human rights and environmental rights and all of that stuff. That's my best hope. And I think that's why a lot of people, including myself, voted for Biden. We just wanted to be able to go about our daily lives. And that's where I really think change happens, is we coming together as a community, small businesses, community educators, leaders, healthcare workers. And that's really, where we can make the difference. And hopefully the political avenues don't impede us from doing that, and they just kind of support us coming together.
Yeah, and I echo your sentiments, and I feel that wanting a sense of I don't think normalcy is the right word, but it's the word that we've been using, and just going back to a place where we feel like we can now petition the persons who are in the government for. Now we can start moving, in a progressive direction, where before that door was totally closed. And so, yeah, definitely echo those sentiments and stuff. But one of the things you talked about was, their inner peace, the inner peacefulness aspect to that. And is that something that you acquired through playing music?
I think that, you know, that's more than anything, it's a Buddhist perspective. And I want to shout out to Steen, my mama, for giving me my meditation pillow from Blue Lotus, which is a good local place if you guys want to support that
Blue
local
Lotus,
business.
is that in town?
Yeah, but you know, just I think coming to the fact that we all have to be at peace with ourselves and with each other, and that's really the only way to create a peaceful society. If we're all stressed out and polarized and judging one another, we're never, you know, the government can't work, or any religion, nothing else can work. So it's an internal thing that we all have to get to. And I'm hopeful, and I think, you know, 2020 was very painful, but it also led to a lot of growth. And I'm hoping that a lot of us can kind of keep on growing and come to that place where we're peaceful and can figure out how to work together despite our differences.
You know, I'm so glad you brought that up. You know, you're good in this transition stuff. If someone is, you know, people will be viewing this and listening to it, you know, on via podcast. And people, you know, honestly, Chris, see you as a leader in this town in many respects. What would your advice be to folks who are suffering anxiety, nervousness, all that because of what the pandemic has caused, financial instability and all that? How do you get through the day?
Well, they say it's dangerous to accept advice and even more dangerous to give it. So I won't. But you know, you're a good friend of mine. I know we enjoy running together, and I think that helps out. And the pandemic has also brought me to yoga. I know, shout out to Levana Begay and a lot of, you know, the community that has been going on with that. I think New Mexico is very unique. We have a beautiful situation in which we have wildlife all around us, and just enjoying wildlife, getting some exercise, taking a breath of fresh air, and trying to figure out what works for you. I think that's what keeps me going through the day, you know, going for a run in the bosque or in the foothills, and doing a little yoga. And of course I deal with my own anxiety and stress, and just like every other human being, but those things help us to manage.
Yeah, no, that I hear you. And I know you've been getting on me for the yoga thing. I'm going to do it. Watch, maybe tomorrow. But, you know, I am pressed, and I hear my last question. And I'm going to tell you this with sincere honesty. That's kind of an oxymoron, or no, that's a double affirmative. But what happened with the game today?
It was great. Actually, Notre Dame won. Alabama was winning.
What? Notre Dame won?
Notre Dame came back.
All right. Congrats.
Well, Alabama technically won, but we're challenging the results in the NCAA. So.
For real?
No, I'm just kidding.
No, what happened?
No, they kicked our ass. But
man,
we beat the spread, and I had a bet with my dad on a $25 bottle of Santa Margarita wine. So I got some wine out of the deal, you know.
Yeah. What was the final score?
I think it was 31-17, Alabama. So
okay.
Big ups to them. And I think Ohio State's beating Clemson. So at least there's some parity in college football. And
yeah.
Well, listen, for next year.
We bring up Notre Dame because that's your alma mater, and that's where you went to school and you studied peace studies. And it's a big part of who you are. I've met a lot of your wonderful friends from there. So I do want to say, you know, congratulations to a really good season. I think exceeded some expectations, and I think the future bodes well for that program. And well, what about your athletic career? Are you retired or?
Well, the best part of all that is none of them is going to get drafted to the Jets. So.
I know they started winning. What a miracle! But you know we'll have to bring Hakim on. You and him can have a conversation, because I told you the other day that I don't like teams when they just, you know, throw in the towel for a better draft pick, and that just kind of goes against what I believe, and you believe too, because I've played ball on your team, and when you step across that line, you don't care. You don't ask what your team record is or none of that. You just compete. And so and you compete in music and I don't know if compete is a good word, but you always give your all in music and the society and the community. Chris, I really want to extend a big thank you to you and a warm appreciation for what you do as a community member and as someone who is a big fan of music and arts and all that. And I enjoy your writing with your peace blog. And so, yeah, keep up the good work, brother. Anything else you want to add for 2021?
Well, if you really believe that, buy me a beer soon at a local place. And, everyone just stay healthy and happy. And let's do the best we can. 2021, have a little hope, work on ourselves, and we can create a better place.
Yeah, definitely create a better place. So stick around with us as we play this one. And then I will be talking to you soon. Hopefully have you back on. It would be great to, have you do a song or two or play a song of your new stuff. But we definitely will have you back on. But I don't know if you've seen this yet. And I hope that I'm not sued by the band, because I know that Adam Moffat has got his lawyer on speed dial right now. All right, everybody. Chris, what do you think of that?
Hit subscribe.
Yeah, there you go. And Chris, we'll put up all the assets on there. Thanks again for everything. We're going to go ahead and make sure that next time you have something new out, you let us know. And you're always welcome to come on the show. And we look forward to hearing from you soon.
Peace out, everybody.
Big ups.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Adios. All right, everybody. See, so we started today with high hopes. We had some technical issues, and that's okay because we're doing this live. This is a hybrid podcast live stream show, and so it's available. Obviously, you're watching through Facebook Live or you're watching through Twitter Live. Communitypublishing.org /smARTalk is where you can find a schedule of coming guests. We have planned some actors from LA who are here in town with Netflix, with Universal Studios. There's a lot of production companies in New Mexico, and we're looking forward to hearing from those folks in terms of their experience in New Mexico and their projects, and more local folks, more businesses. That last clip you saw is an ad by Community Publishing. So go ahead and give us a call if you are looking at advertising, community publishing, ads at communitypublishing.org. And I want to thank Anchor FM once again for their sponsorship. They'll turn this around and make it available at your favorite podcasting services, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. And so this, like I said, this has been a lot of fun. We have some awesome guests coming up in the future. And we have more progressive solutions. And this will probably be the longest of all the episodes. So as I get the hang of this and you all get the hang of this, I thank you all for your support. and continue to shop local. There's a lot of great great local artists, musicians. There's a lot of folks in Albuquerque and in New Mexico, the land of enchantment, that make it a special place. So yeah, with that, I will say good night. Thanks again. We'll see you next Friday, Friday, January 8th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Mountain. One of our featured guests is there's several awesome artists on there, and we have a painters, another musician. I guess I don't know. I guess I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but yeah. All right, everybody. We'll see you next Friday.
You're listening to SMARTalk, conversations with filmmakers regarding progressive solutions to society's most pressing problems.